Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and unbox this CSC SYS 50 EBI table saw by Festool. It's a cordless table saw. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so if we take a look here, you see we've got the sustainer in the box with some styrofoam on the top and the bottom. Let's get that out of there. Alright, on top we see that we have the actual book and manual for the saw. So we'll read through that to kind of get an idea of how this functions. Alright, so this is the sustainer itself. Pan it around so you can kind of take a look on it from the bottom. And let's put a sustainer on top just to see how that goes. You can carry it around like that. There are these latches. There's one here. And there's another one on the opposite side here. We're going to go ahead and lift up the sustainer top. So this is the table saw itself. Kind of turn it around a bit so you can take a look at it. So we've got several controls here on the front. Looks like an up and down digital button. This appears to be a beveling function. Then you've got a main dial here that rotates and it's got some clicks in it and it depresses as a push. You've got your on and off buttons here to start the saw. You've got a lever here to release the table, and that appears to be what we have on the front. You've got CSC SYS 50 EBI, and let's turn it around and take a look at the other side. On this side we have the main power button and we have the two slots for the batteries. Here we have a locking mechanism and that allows the sliding table to slide back and forth. And it slides very smoothly. Here you have a hex key with the lock position up here and the unlock position down here. And this panel comes out to get access to the blade change. With that locked, the table does not slide. This is how you install the batteries. And you have ample room here, but I don't have the biggest hands to depress the buttons and pull the batteries out. So this is an 18-volt saw, which basically means it runs on battery power. The batteries have a Bluetooth functionality, these two that I have here, which means that this tool, when powered on and paired with a vac, will activate the Festool vacuum automatically. So here on the back of the saw we have the dust port, we have the Allen key tool, we have a port where you can stick the Allen key tool to actually remove the riving knife, or you use this same Allen key tool to access the blade change chamber up under the sliding table saw over here. On this side of the saw we have obviously the fence up here on top. We've got a push stick that fits inside. This is the latch for being able to lock in the actual fence. So here, and can slide it forward and backwards, and it's a one lever lock. This gives me the ability to move this fence item backwards and forward here, and there's a P here and a P there for the park position. Everything on this saw needs to be in the park position in order to store it into the sustainer there. So this green tab down here, you depress that to release the table, and it clicks into place. Underneath the table you have two, these are plastic tabs that hold the table up. So to depress the table, you'll simply push in at the two joints and the table will lower back into place, and it'll lock on this bottom left corner. The saw actually has a scale here on top, and this happens to be an imperial version of the saw, so it goes from 0 all the way up to 6 and a quarter here on this end, and when I release the table it goes up to 11 inches. So from here to here is 11 inches. Then release here and put the fence all the way out to this 11-inch mark, giving me an 11-inch rip between here and the blade. For narrow cutting, slide all the way over, and it'll actually go over the blade. The fence slides okay. It does have a little wobble as I'm moving it. On the front it runs in this track. Let's take a look at where it's running on the back. So on the back, the fence is sliding in a groove. And the locking mechanism, if we can take a look there, it just grabs on to this ridge and it clamps the saw down. When I loosen it, it looks like that. When I lock it, it goes like that. So we'll see over time how well that functions. So let's put this back over here, lower this back down. So setting this all aside for a minute, let's go ahead and look over the accessories that come with this particular kit. So right here we have our sustainer box, and as we look inside we have a dust bag that is clamped into place down here at the bottom. There's like a little C-clamp and it just pops in and out like that. And if we turn the saw around here, we just pop off the top, and it actually has a locking and an unlock. So we'll turn it to the unlock, which will be toward clockwise, and then this locks into place back here, giving you the ability to use the bag to catch any extra sawdust that may come out if you're in a place where you do not have access to a vacuum. Here you have extra blade storage, and the red blade is going to be for laminate. You've got a yellow wood fine cut blade, a yellow wood universal blade, and a yellow wood rip cut blade. The blue blade is going to be for plastics. Right here you have a portion for the riving knife, which is installed on the saw currently. Up here you have your riving knife slash blade guard, and it fits nicely into the sustainer up here. You put all of the little moving parts down, slide it into place, and it just clicks into these metal tabs. Up here, you're going to push up on this green tab, and out comes your miter gauge. Let's put that on the saw and take a look at how that works out. So that's all the components that come in this actual portion here. Now this fence can actually be stored on here in the park position, or you can actually take it off and store it in the actual sustainer itself. It's going to fit in this portion here. So you have the option of placing it how you'd like. Pulling the saw back over here towards me. So right now this component is in the park position, and I noticed that by, you know, you have the P's on the top, so that's where the fence has to be. And I'm looking at the bottom, it's down on this 67 point, was, yeah, it's about 67.5 as far as the rotation in this direction. So I'm going to loosen that and spin it around to the 0 mark, lock it in. I'm going to unlock the fence, slide it over a bit, and then we're going to put this in this T-channel, and there is some slop in there. And there's a tab here that you'll pull out on the side in order to advance this into the channel. So let's turn that to the side so you can see what I'm talking about. So when it's here, that tab, this is as far as the miter gauge assembly will advance into the saw until you pop out this tab, and then that gives you the ability to slide all the way in, and that would also give you the ability to lock this in place wherever you would need it. And locking that in place would give you the option to where when you actually unlock the sliding portion of the table, the whole thing moves as a unit, as you can see there. The fence, I can slide it over right now. As you can see, it's going to be cut by the blade if I had the saw operational in the park position. So I will loosen the knob on the back here and slide the fence over and then tighten it down. And that's going to give me the ability to cut my wood here. So if this is my piece of wood here, I have the ability to get my cross cuts going just like this. Okay. So this is the unboxing and opening of the saw. As you can see here, since this is going to be my first experience with this particular saw, I want to go through it. I'm going to open up the manual and read through it a bit so that I can actually explain what I'm doing as I work through the actual controls on the saw. So this is just the initial unboxing and just kind of going over the actual physical hardware itself. I'm going to release a video after this one going over the electronics, turning the saw on, powering it up, and basically dialing it in as far as in the settings. What I can do though in this particular video, I'm going to pop off the miter gauge assembly and set it to the side, and we will take a look at the blade change. So we will slide the table back, and then right here we'll remove the Allen key from the back of the tool, and we will turn this way, and as you can see there's a green tab on the back that you can turn left to right to unlock this portion. From this side here we have access to the blade right here. As I stick the Allen key into the back here, It's indicating here that the saw needs to be in the park position, which it is not in the park position right now, in order to be able to access the riving knife to remove it. And I'm also anticipating, as you can see here, and as I'm turning the arbor, I'm pushing down on this button, but it is not locking the arbor. So I have not read the manual yet. I'm going to do that now, but I anticipate that this saw has to be in the park position before it will actually lock, so that you can actually change the blade. Right now it wouldn't make sense to be able to loosen it anyway, because I can't, the blade is depressed down in there and I can't access it. So I'm going to put this back in, close this over, and tighten that up. So my initial unboxing and overall impression of the saw, just looking at it, touching it, and you know, just manipulating some of the aspects of the saw, the table saw slides, it does slide smoothly. The components seem to fit on the machine well. It's going to take some time of me actually using the saw to determine if, you know, how well this saw is going to function. It is a very compact saw, which I can appreciate. It's going to be easy to carry about. It is smaller than my Milwaukee table saw and also my DeWalt table saw. I am going to be, once I get this saw up and running and do a few test cuts with it, my goal is to charge up the batteries and to do a runtime test with this particular saw and compare it against my DeWalt FlexVolt and also my Milwaukee M18 table saw. And just over time, I want to get an idea of how these three table saws compare, being battery powered. Festool seems to put a lot of thought into their engineering, so there's a chance that their solution may work a little bit better, possibly. I don't know. I'll test that to find out. Regardless, the fact that when I turn this saw on, that the dust extractor through Bluetooth pairing will turn on automatically is going to be nice, and it's going to help me to not have to think about hooking up my dust collection because of how convenient it is with the Festool system. So I think I've gone over the actual physical aspects of the saw. For now, I'm going to read the manual, and then once I finish reading the manual, then I'm going to come back and we'll go over the electronics and setting up the saw. There will be a runtime test where I'll compare this Festool table saw against my DeWalt FlexVolt table saw and my Milwaukee M18 table saw, just to kind of get an idea of how they all function in relationship one to another, and then also to get an idea of, you know, will I be able to do 99% of the cuts that I want to do on this particular table saw, and thus for get rid of one or both of my other table saws because this fits into a system. Anyways guys, thank you for taking time to watch the video, and I'm going to get back into playing with this so that I can come back and show you how I've learned to set it up, and then also give some test cuts. Thanks, and I'll see you in my next video.